Hey everyone, I am quickly interrupting this intro to remind you that David is now retired from his 25 years on the police force. Sadly, we'll all miss the laser cut countdown timer, and now he's really going to need our support because he's trading badges for thumbnails. He's swapping busting perps to begging for likes. He's used to chasing criminals, and now he's just chasing the algorithm. And now he has to read all those YouTube comments without telling people they have the right to remain silent. Anyway, tonight, give him a huge congratulations. This is a big milestone for him, but let's kick things off for his new full-time career running the Clock Shack. Sunday Night Live starts right now.
Oh, my God. You snuck that one in there on me. I didn't know you did that. I gotta quit letting you get in the studio unchaperoned. That was wild. I appreciate it, though. I appreciate it. Well, guys, I hope the background noise is not too bad, but I've had a CNC job going over there for several hours, and it's like literally down to I think it's got maybe 20 minutes at the most left. So it's yeah. I was running the CNC job while I was building those stove covers you see stacked up right there, but turns out I'm much quicker at putting stove covers together than the CNC is at doing a 3D flag. But it's really cool 3D flag. I did upload a picture of it to Facebook if anybody's interested. Let's go look at it. But I'll try to pull it up on my phone here and I can just show it to you on my phone. So it's 25 inches wide and probably about a foot deep. And it's made with a piece of, I wound up, the finished size wound up being like 1 3/4 inches thick. It was probably 2 inches, but I planed it down with the CNC, flipped it, planed it, and then by the time I got done, it's down to like 1 3/4 inches. And is that birch? I've been saying birch all day. I hope that was birch.
I think that's actually cherry.
Cherry?
Yeah.
It wasn't that hard. I don't think, unless it's some kind of weird cherry. Anyway.
I didn't have any birch that big to give you, so.
Oh, it's something from Steve's place, and I've been making a video with it, so I'll have to go in and I don't know, maybe throw it in there that I don't know what kind of wood it is. It is very like I will tell you this, the tear out, if you're not careful that first little bit, it will chip out pretty good. So so I had to make sure not to go too crazy with my speeds. But yes, turned out really nice. So that's even cooler if it is cherry. I have to look at it more carefully. I'll put it out in the sun and see if it changes color because it cherry tans. So I'll put it outside and see if it changes color.
Cool.
But anyways, that's what we got going on, and hopefully that'll finish here in a minute. It won't be too bad. It shouldn't be too terrible because it's running the skinny Jenny. No. Yeah, skinny Jenny. The tapered ball nose is what's running. So that thing's usually pretty quiet.
Cool.
What's going on with you over there, Steve? I mean, you still staying warm up there? We still in the 90s here. So
it's not in the 90s, but it's definitely unseasonably warm for us. So it was really nice yesterday, but it got up into the 80s today again. But tolerable by summer standards, but we're in fall now, and we could be threatened with snow within a matter of weeks. So, but been trying to keep on top of things. Did put out a video a few days ago on kind of getting started in CNC routers with Easel. It is a subscription-based software, but it is really good at kind of just holding your hand through it. They every step of the way, they're like, okay, tell us this. And did you turn your spindle on? Have you made sure your stuff's clamped down? Is this the right bit? And all that kind of stuff. So did a primer with that to kind of just show that not all the software has to be crazy intimidating, and how easily it works with a lot of the machines out there. I mean, when you go to set up the machine, they have a lot of the manufacturers out there, Onefinity, Carbide, and then of course, Fox Alien, and Saint Smart, Genmitsu, and such. So definitely something to check out if you've been on the fence and worried about software. It's a little bit easier. You can connect the machine right to it, control it through your web browser. You don't have to have extra software for both design and control. So Other than that, been trying to organize the shop a little bit. Been doing some tests with the little Atom Stack Blue Galvo machine, including their little sling bed, which does work. I was able to make a 12-inch long sign.
Yeah, I've been playing around with it a little bit. It's not the worst sling bed I've ever had. So,
well, I'll take this way over any sort of conveyor or roller system.
Agreed.
So,
definitely.
But yeah, trying to plow through some of that stuff, get the shop reorganized. I've got some more actual project things that, whether they're some honeydew items or holiday stuff is coming up and custom orders for people. So I'm trying to, when I can, take a pause and create some content around that as well. So hopefully inspire some people.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have been so bogged down and just I kind of get a little burnt. I mean, I enjoy doing the reviews for people so that they can make a semi-educated decision on buying machines and what machines to look at for this, that, and the other. I enjoy that, and I enjoy playing with new toys. I'm not gonna lie, but I've been running through so many machine reviews lately that I had to take a break, and so that is why I did stove covers today. Got those stacked up over here. Got I think 7 of them done today. And I've had that running while I've been working on these. So I was constructing these and just keeping an eye on the machine. I had my ear headphones on. I've been watching a lot of different folks' videos. Watched Ryan's video, a couple of other folks' videos today. Just hanging out and getting that done, so that I can have a project video to do along with what I've already got going as far as the equipment reviews, because like I said, I enjoy doing those for the benefit to the community, and I like the toys, but every now and then you need a break from it, So
yeah.
Today's been my break from testing machines. Trying to scroll through these. Brian saying that David, there's another name for retirement is called unemployed, and actually, Brian, I am self-employed, not unemployed.
Aren't you only self-employed when you actually make money?
I do actually have employment. Well, yeah, but I get paid. I mean, it might not be minimum wage, but I get paid. Because if you figure the amount of time I devote to it, it's really not. Is probably not what people think it is, but I enjoy it, and hopefully, if things continue, I'll be able to pay my insurance and maintain my standard of living that I've grown accustomed to, and not have to get another job. But
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. But thanks for everybody in the comments to saying congratulations. Steve snuck that video in there. I didn't know he was doing that, but whatever.
Yeah. I hate to say how that took a little bit longer than I thought it would to put it all together. And I had to record a little bit out here, and then I thought I'd throw in some photos, so I was seeing what was already publicly posted out there between places. So, but figured you'd enjoy that.
Yeah. What's up, Mr. Cody? Hey, you're gonna like this video, Cody. I've used original Genie bit for roughing. I used a Big B for first pass finish, and then I used a Skinny Genie for my detail pass finish. And I'm going to use the extended reach. I probably could do it with the regular bit, but I'm going to use the extended reach to cut it out because it is 1 3/4 inches thick. So I'm going to use the extended reach bit to cut that out. So 4 Genie bits in this project right here. So there you go. Well, and because Cody doesn't make one, Garrett, I got to use his. I used his 1.5 inch flattening bit for prepping it. Yeah, the IDC Woodcraft 1.5 inch. That's what I used to do the flattening pass with. But that's because Cody doesn't make one, so I had to show Garrett a little love. And I've had it for a while. I just don't show it in a lot of videos, and so I felt like today was the time. Because I'm going to tell you, if there's one bit that has whipped my rear end over the past 2 years in CNCs, it's flattening bits, because I did not understand how to use them. I was always trying to start in the center and like plunge it into the material, and I learned that's not how you do that. That doesn't work unless you have a bit that cuts on the bottom. That's like a bowl bit or something. That's the only time that will even think about working. So I kind of go over that in my video today. Today was just like a crash course. Like, if you're thinking about doing this kind of stuff, these are some of the things you need to think of. And this is just me doing a project the way that I do projects. So that video will be coming out tomorrow, because guess what? I don't got to go to work tomorrow. So hopefully I'll be able to finish that video up. I got to wait on this guy to get through. It's like I said, it's doing the, this is the Skinny Jenny, doing the touch up around the edge of the stars and some of the tight corners. And then I got to take the extended reach and cut it mostly out. I left a 2mm skin under the bottom, and I'm going to finish cutting it out completely on the bandsaw just to make sure nothing bad happens to this big old pretty slab of wood when I try to cut it loose. Since I'm afraid, I might make it come loose from there. So I'm gonna leave a 2mm skin just in case. But yeah, Radu, no, I actually did. Oh, Radu was asking if I still counting up on the counter display. I did away with the display now. I no longer have it in the shop. We're good now. I have made it. I have arrived at my destination. So,
piggybacking on your previous one, Robert's asking, is it possible to use a CNC to plane cedar picket signs using the CNC? Sign is 5 inches by 7 inches. Yes. As mentioned, you can do it with any bit, but using a larger bit makes it faster and gives a cleaner finish, assuming everything's relatively trammed. And so this is the one Clack was talking about. It's an 1.5 inch surfacing bit. And then there's also styles like this that have the little carbide inserts and such. So the idea is you got to prep it first. And so on a 5x7, it may or may not be time efficient, because you have to, I've got a few others as well. You have to first hold the material in place and shim it so that it doesn't rock. You want it to be flat. You want it to be staying in one place. And so you put your flat edge on the top, and then you can flip it over if you need the whole thing, planed consistently. Then you can put that side down on your spoil board and then just hit the top. And you can, what are you using for your step over on that? 40%, or you go more?
It was like, when I downloaded Garrett's feeds, I think it was set to like 80% step over. But I mean, it was a lot. Like, so I was like, man, that somebody's in a hurry. So I cut it down to, I think I wound up going with like 50 or 70 maybe. Because I was like, I'm not in that big of a hurry. And with the step over, the less step over you use, like the smaller percentage, like you start fixing to say, it just gives you a little smoother end result. And especially if your machine's not perfectly trimmed, because the bigger this bit, like if you had to pick between these two bits and your machine wasn't trimmed very well, the smaller bit would probably give you a smoother finish, because it's not going to be as noticeable because the bit's not as wide. And I don't know exactly where this one, or who this one belongs to. This may be an IDC2. I'm not sure, but this is like a 1 inch, and then I got a 2 inch. And I use the 1 inch for the smaller machines that can't handle it, or can't handle the 1.5, because this 1.5, that if that's cherry, that explains why it was kind of hard. But hey, that first bite or two with this thing on that 1500 watt spindle, I was a little concerned, but it powered through it. It was throwing good chips, and so we kept going.
Yeah.
But I also have, I also have that blade bit that you have, and this one works. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Now that I know how to use it properly, I like this 1.5 inch. But you just can't plunge it. Do not.
No.
Do not.
I usually start at the the lower left corner and just go from the outside of the material and ease in from the outside, and then make the pattern from there. So
yeah, but I was gonna start mine at the lower left corner, but when I got the pass set up in VCarve, it for whatever reason chose to set it to start on the right side, and I had oversized it like 1.5 inches on both ends. So I'm like, okay, that works. So I ain't got to change the start point or nothing. I just run with that, and it worked out good. So didn't have any, but yeah, first time or two I tried trimming my wasteboard and all that. Man, I'm telling you, I'll crash a flattening bit.
The only thing with the cedar picket signs is that being more of a softwood, after you plane it, moisture is gonna, it's gonna expand and impact. And even on hardwood, you don't want to finish if you're going from rough lumber and sizing it down, or even if you're using kiln dried lumber and sizing it down greatly, if you're taking away a good quarter to a half of the material, you almost want to bring it down to about 90% of your finished depth and let it rest for a day, because you're relieving tension and stress, and that causes the wood to move a little bit, and then you let that settle there and then just kind of finish up beyond that. And the softer the wood, sometimes the more exacerbated that can get from just humidity changes and such. So just something to be mindful as when you're trying to finish cedar picket fences. Don't be too picky about it.
Roger. Huh. Well, apparently there's somebody carrying Jenny bits that Cody didn't know about. Or something going on in the chat.
Apparently you also have another title called Stay at Home Dad.
Yeah, I coined that one. Everybody's like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, oh, I'm a stay-at-home dad. Chuck saying, where the big laser go? I'm guessing he's asking, where did the big laser go? I've got mine on my porch because I have no more room in my shop. And I told these people that there was no more room in my shop. So, well, technically, Steve Ray, it's 2 more days until on paper I'm retired. But unfortunately, my back started hurting me and I had to take some sick time off. And so I didn't make it at work until the 30th, like I had planned.
Yeah. You so wanted to be there the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I hated it, but I just couldn't. I was hurting so bad. I couldn't make it there. And, I had all that sick time that I wasn't going to get paid for. And so I figured since I was hurting so bad, I might as well stay at home and enjoy myself. I mean, rest and recover.
I mean, I kind of thought I heard that they were trying to kick you out even earlier.
Well, I mean, I can't say they weren't, but, it's hard to kick me out when I'm trying to go. So,
yeah. All right. We'll try to get caught up here. If we've missed your comment, don't worry. We'll try to catch it, or you can always drop it in again.
Yeah. Brian said, self-employed. Does that mean you only have a job the day you collect money, making the other days unemployed? No, I'm always working at it out here. So yeah, it'll work out. Oh, look at that. Forget Me Not says, hi all from New Jersey. Just got home from a 2-day craft fair. Killed it.
Nice.
That's good. Well, you can have a good one like that, but I'm going to go home. Let me go in and throw this out there for you. Forget Me Not. Savor the good ones, because there will be bad ones. So remember this feeling so that next time you show up at one with the expected hurricane making landfall or tornadoes in the area or whatever, and you don't even make your gas money, you can look back and go, there was that once. Because I've had them both. I've had them to where it's like, hey, this was awesome. And then I've had others like, why did I even get out of bed today? So, but I'm glad you had a good one. Those are great when it happens.
Miles is asking, with the leveling bit, do you run the spindle along the grain or across? Is there any issues with chip out at the end of the run? Generally, I'm going to go with the grain. And the chip out, it's going to depend. I mean, you can sometimes have some, especially on hardwoods, you might have some special figure that enters into it. And sometimes that on various machines will cause a little bit of chip out. If you're getting it kind of just on the end of the board, you might be taking too aggressive of a cut. So it's a balance of finding, you want to get through it as quickly as you can, but you don't want to be tearing the material either. So like anything with CNC machines, It's a mixture of your spindle speed and your feed rate, and then your depth of cut. You kind of dial that in for various woods, various bits, and then your machine. But I'll be a little more aggressive at first if I need to if I've got a really high spot, and then as I get closer to my finished thickness, I'll take shallower passes, which generally have less chance of tear out. And you just got to be careful that you are taking enough of a cut that you're not burnishing the wood, but that you're actually still cutting it.
Yeah, see, like on this one here today, I thought I set my Z on the highest part of the wood, but I didn't. And so there were parts of it where I was doing a 1 millimeter pass is all I was trying to take. I was just, because like I said, I wasn't in a hurry. I wanted smooth, clean results rather than speed. That was my goal. And so I set it at a 1 millimeter pass, and it was 1 millimeter right there where I set my Z. But on the other opposite corner of the board, of the slab rather, it was like 4 millimeters. And so when it started hitting that, I could hear the load hitting that spindle. Luckily in carbide, and also me and you have started both using G-Sender a lot, but I was running carbide with my Shapoco because this is native software. It works good. I have no complaints with it. I reached over there and kind of knocked it down a couple of percentages on the speed just to make sure until I got it that initial, got it flat. And then after that, I knew I was coming down 1 millimeter increments and it could handle it. So I sped it back up and actually wound up going a little faster than my starting speeds once I made sure, I'd got that first layer off and I knew I was just pulling 1 millimeter of material off at a time. I went ahead and actually amped it up a little bit higher than what it originally was set at.
Yeah, if I have a really weird piece of rough sawn hardwood and maybe it has like crotch figure and 2 different beams going out where one might be off, I'll actually manually run. I'll turn the spindle on or the router on, and I'll kind of just manually jog it with the controller just to make sure I've hit any real high spots. And if I need to, I can back out, and then I'll run the actual program at that point, because then I know everything from there is not going to dig in too high. But that's usually if I have just a really wonky, I'm having to shim it a lot and I'm not 100% sure that I don't have a high corner. I'll just kind of make a quick, around the edges kind of thing to make sure I'm good. And if I do find a high spot, I'll kind of work that down real quick and then run the job.
Well, this one wasn't too bad. Like it wasn't the 2 surfaces weren't parallel exactly, but it wasn't like a cloud or nothing. Yeah. So what I wound up doing is I took a piece of 1/4-inch plywood and screwed lathe screws through the bottom of the plywood and then used the plywood to attach it to the CNC. And I go over all that in the video. And then once I got that side done, I flipped it over, and that's when I, glued it with the 2-sided tape to that same piece of plywood. And that's what's holding it in place right now. It is attached to a sheet of this unfinished plywood that I got, and then the plywood's held down with some carbide clamps over there.
Cool.
So
Jack is asking, howdy, quick question. Is there a point where it makes more sense to get a larger machine like a Thunder than the small desktop diodes if you are running it constantly every day? Keep burning up diodes. I don't know that I would upgrade just because of thinking that it's going to be maybe more reliable, because you can have just as many issues pop up with a CO2 depending on what you spend your money on, and your chiller and the different temperature changes and lenses and all that. You can still have some problems there. So I would probably want to first see what might be causing your existing diodes to burn out. And it may make sense to go to a CO2, but there are some differences as far as your burn quality. If you're doing a lot of engravings, the CO2 may actually cause you a little bit of headache to get the equivalent like darkness in the burn. Where I really see going up to a bigger machine, and especially a CO2, is when you're doing a lot of production cutting, because that's where those will be more efficient. And a larger machine, if you're batching things out, and you can put a bigger sheet on there because you're doing a lot of, like I used to create a lot of glue caddy kits and model airplane stands and things like that, it made sense for me to maximize that cut area on the CO2 laser and just let it cut. I'd pull the sheets out, put some back in, hit start again. So if you're doing kind of those repetitive things, that would definitely be an area to look at it. I would say if you're just burning up diodes, maybe figure out, is it, sometimes you can have power issues that certain electronics are more sensitive to, and so sometimes just putting even a UPS in line, because that'll generally filter the power, be a little more consistent. It won't, if you have any like surges from an AC kicking in or some other higher draw thing that maybe drops the voltage in your shop or whatnot, that can cause some electronics issues. I would probably try to figure that out as well, to see if, and it could just be faulty equipment. There could be just bad diodes, but I would try to also nail that down first.
Yeah, if you're like burning up machines to the point where it's become an occurrence, a regular occurrence, I would definitely look at your exhausting method and make sure you're getting adequate exhaust, and also maybe look at your cleaning regimen, because even with the CO2, if it's actually going to cost you just as much with the CO2 if you don't clean the machine, or if you don't have adequate exhaust. Some of those issues are going to follow you to the new machine. And the lenses and the mirrors for the new machine may cost you substantially more than, say, the mirrors or the lenses for the diode. So I would make sure all that stuff's on point before moving over, because my enclosure Zilla over here, I don't run it, all day, 5 days a week cutting per se, but I have run it a lot, and it's it gets dirty, but it's not. I wouldn't say I'm burning them up, but yeah. If you're doing that much cutting, then maybe it does justify a bigger CO2.
Yeah, he did follow up in my chat. Said doing mostly cutting 10, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, mostly 4mm wood. If that's your case, yeah, I would say you're probably going to be better off with a CO2 for doing that type of cutting. It's probably going to maybe cut down on the amount of time you got to run the same equivalent, or you'll be able to do more. So that would probably be more of the metric to upgrade than burning them out. But yeah, if you're running it half the day, 10 to 12 hours a day, yeah, if you don't have everything on par or on spot, clean air and taking breaks to clean off those diodes, I can see those getting burned out. That's some heavy use.
Yeah, that's exceptionally heavy for diode.
It's definitely a time to maybe look at something a little more industrial.
I'm trying to scroll through here, make sure we. Yep, Craig. Luckily, I think I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's like I said. Because Brandy corrects me, because I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm retired," and she's like, "No, you're not. You're self-employed. Retired indicates that you're not going to be doing anything." You're self-employed, and so she stayed on top of it, making sure she keeps me straight on my terminology. I have been busier in this past week and having to get up earlier than I did the week before, which is not how I envisioned retirement being.
It's like a lot of people who are in the military or peace officers. You tend to retire at a younger age from that profession. So you're retired military, you're retired police. But that, I have a guy who's worked for me close to coming up almost 20 years now, that was retired military, but still had his family to raise, was a little bit bored, but also still needed to, provide additionally for his family and put kids through college and such. So, he's worked another 15, 20 years after that, but he is retired from the military. So you're just retired from the police force.
Oh yeah. And like I said, if I can't make it work out here, then I'll have to look at it. But I'm hoping I can get it going out here.
Monk 458 is asking, there seems to be several small desktop CNC routers out there. What would be a good one of those for a brand new user? Some of it's going to depend on what you're wanting to do. And if you're wanting to just kind of dabble in it to see if it's something that might work. The tough thing is that you can, if you go too inexpensive or undersize it too much and have higher expectations, you can kind of discourage yourself just by having the wrong equipment for the wrong job. If you're wanting to do just, engraving on signs, but you're not wanting to necessarily cut out a lot, almost any of them are going to be okay at it. Definitely having something a little more powerful, a little more rigid, you're going to be able to do things faster and maybe take deeper cuts and such. But I think if you look at both of our channels, as far as desktop CNC routers, the ones that we've used the most being St. Smart Genmitsu, the 4040 series, especially the Pro Max. If you can afford that one, that's kind of the top of the line in that series. It comes with a trim router, 700 watt type of spindle that can do both 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch cuts. It's got a 400 by 400 working area, so it's similar to the dial lasers. You got about 15 inches of square of working area. You still got to account for clamps and whatnot. You can do a lot with those. The real trick there is, what's good for a brand new user is the software that connects with you. Some people like having all the options and like playing around with all the options. Others want to be kind of walked through it, and some don't want to spend $300 to $700 on software right after buying a CNC as well, and want to do a subscription model. So that it's kind of, I would say, the Genmitsu 4040 series is a really good one. The Fox Alien 3S that we've got, in the same vein, but maybe a little bit more expensive, a little nicer features. That being said, there are some other ones that are coming out. Both of us have kind of teased. Atom Stack has a benchtop one that's going to be a little bit cheaper. Kind of waiting to see all the accessories that come with it. My main concern with that one right now is we haven't seen a 65 millimeter mount yet, and that's what really lets you step up into like a trim router size spindle. They have the 200 watt or the 500 watt option for now, which are okay, but they are going to be a bit limiting. So, yeah. But I would definitely look for something. When you're looking at them, there are a number of them out there. If they're made from like 2020 extrusion and look like they should be more of like a desktop laser than a CNC machine, stay away from those.
Lasers don't make good CNCs, and CNCs don't make good lasers. I mean, it's two totally different disciplines. There's a lot of folks that'll tell you to slap a module on a CNC or slap a spindle on a laser. That's not always good. I mean, it's not your best approach. Personally, I don't really want a CNC or a laser on my CNC, because it's going to be so much slower if you try to put a laser on your CNC. And now you got to worry about an enclosure and ventilating it and all that kind of stuff. I would rather let the machines do what they do. I've got a couple of companies that make really good lasers that have tried to make CNCs and miserably failed. I've got one in the shop now that I'm not a fan of. I've been trying to give it second chances, but it's just not working out. The Atom Stack, I will say they put the most thought into their design, I think, for the very first time they've ever made one. I think they've done a good job on it. It is not without its, needed tweaks or polishes, adjustments, but it's a decent machine so far. Like Steve said, it needs a 65, and I think the machine can handle it as long as they get this whole lead screw attachment thing worked out and quit using Cosmoline on the ball screws or on the lead screws. I think it's fine. But it does need a 65 millimeter spindle. That the rest of that chassis is strong enough. It can handle a trim router. It could handle a 1500 watt spindle, I think. But they just got to adjust some of the stuff to it. So, but I agree with Steve. The Genmitsu 4040 series, whether you get the Reno, the Pro, or the Pro Max, those are doable machines. I will say though, the big difference between those three machines is going to be, you're going to have to slow down with like the Reno. You're going to have to go a lot slower than you would with the Pro, than you would with the Pro Max. The Pro Max is the most rigid of that 4040 series, and it's really an affordable machine, but you're going to be limited to work area. I think they did finally come out with a 600 extension for the 4040 to where it makes it 6040.
Yep.
And like you said, the Fox Alien has impressed me with their machines. I want to get my hands on a Fox Alien that has lead screws or ball screws. rather than the belts. The belts work great on this Masuda 3S that I've got, but I really want to see what a difference there is between their screw driven and their belt driven machines. See if there's a noticeable, ability to plow through the material. Because so far I haven't been able to stump this guy with the 1.5 on it, but I haven't tried it as much as I'd like to yet. But I do think there is a threshold, and people vary. I mean, some of these guys will tell you that if you spend less than $1,500, you're going to have a terrible experience. And if you're looking at the software, dust collections, and everything combined, then yes, if you spend less than $1,500, you're probably going to have a bad experience. But if you can do without dust collection and you can get by with a cheaper software, you can get into a decent machine for $1,500 that will be capable enough to not discourage you.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, if you're really serious about it, it's one of those things that's probably spend as much as you're comfortable with, because it is one of those areas where bigger work area, stronger motors, you'll never wish that you had gone smaller until you have to move it. But oftentimes when you're working, you're like, oh, well, how can I orient this? Or it just won't fit on it, or I have to tile it now, to slide it. There are ways around a lot of things, but yeah, it's one of those buy once, cry once situations. If you are like, yes, I'm doing this, I have projects, I'm going to dive into it.
Forget Me Not says he bought the 4040 Pro last week. So far, he loves it. Did you get the Pro or the Pro Max? The Pro's not a bad machine. The only complaint I had with the Pro was the Z-axis was a little bit, it had a little bit of slop in it if you pushed it too hard, but depending on your speeds and feeds, it was a very capable machine as long as you didn't get too carried away with your speeds. But you can actually, I think they started selling the Z-axis upgrade so that you can go back later and take your 4040 Pro and change out the Z-axis and make it a 4040 Pro Max. So
one for you. David Almond is asking, any tips on cutting 3mm plexiglass? Leave the paper on both sides or take the paper cover off before cutting? Depends on how fine of details you're going to end up in your cut. If it's kind of just a round or squarish, it doesn't have a lot of like little branches and details like maybe a Christmas ornament might. I would leave the paper on. It just helps protect the surface of the acrylic. And then that's fairly easy to weed off. But if you have a lot of little details, or if you're engraving and there's just little slivers left on there, you're going to sit there for a while weeding, and then you might have to get like a razor blade in there, and then you're going to risk etching the stuff. So, yeah,
and I would agree. If you're just cutting out like circles or squares or something like that, I always leave it on there because the vaporized acrylic can, especially on clear. You don't notice it that much on colored, but on clear, it can cause like a little bit of discoloration around the cut where the vapor like gets hot and sticks to itself. But if you leave that peel on there, it comes off, like you said, a lot easier. But I have left that stuff on there and did some Christmas ornaments out of colored. And like I regretted it because it had like, a snowflake or whatever. And you got all these little pieces of that coating that you got to go in there and pick off. And it would have took me a lot less time to clean a little bit of residue up than it would have to pick all that, weed all that cover out of there. So yeah, it's going to be a case by case, in my opinion. Yeah. As far as like your ability to cut through the acrylic, if you're worried about leaving it on there, might keep your machine from making it through it. It doesn't add a lot of resistance to the cut speeds or anything. I mean, yes, it'll be a little, but it's not a make or break type thing to where you got to take it off or you're not gonna be able to cut it. Because I have found that a couple of millimeters, it'll knock a couple millimeters per second off your speeds, but not bad enough to hurt nothing.
Norbert's asking, does a ball nose bit help reduce chip out versus flat nose bit, up or down compression bit? It can, I mean, because generally on a ball nose, you're not going to be making as deep of a cut, but your chip out usually is coming on the edge. So if your ball nose is down deep anyway, you're probably still just having the flutes interact with the material. So really it's having, getting the right, spindle speed, your right feed rate, and then your depth of cut. Finding that kind of happy ground for your machine, your bit, and your material. It's kind of like running material tests on your laser. You got to kind of do a few test cuts with your bit into, say, hardwoods or softwoods and whatnot to kind of figure out where it's at. And they'll be close for each material, but when you get into plywoods, that's where it gets really risky, because especially if you have a thin veneer, that's where having that compression bit, so the geometry of the end mill actually changes to where at the very bottom, usually like about an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch, depending on the type of machine, the flutes are going to be pulling the material up, whereas the flutes on the rest of the cutting end miller, they're going to be pushing the fibers down. And so you can have that cutting edge where it's on the outside edge of that plywood. It's always basically pushing the fibers towards the material rather than pulling them away. And so that geometry tends to help. But there are other cases, such in acrylics, where you don't necessarily want to push the cut acrylic back down into your cut. You want to pull them out. Same thing with aluminum. So then you're going to definitely be using what's called an upcut bit, and then you can get some chip out from that. But generally, you're not going to necessarily use those in woods unless there are some scenarios where you might. But
yeah. I will caution you, if you're using an upcut bit with plastics and acrylics, I would suggest running a lot higher feed speeds and a lot less depth of cut, because if you ever let that bit get a good grip on a piece of 3mm acrylic that's 2 foot wide or something like that, it will suck that acrylic up to the collet, and bad things happen when that happens. I learned that one the hard way. So anytime I'm doing acrylic, I do like super, super thin passes, and I just run blazing fast speeds. And the reason is that, like I said, when that uplift or that upcut, that as that thing's rotating, is pulling up. And if you cut into that plastic enough to where it has enough grip, it'll like suck it all the way up to the collet, and then it gets ugly. So yeah, be mindful that depth of cut matters with plastic when you're using an O-flute upcut bit. Now, I will say this, though. Cody does make a downcut O-flute. I don't know if it ever went public or not, but he did make some, and they do work. But you need to use air or something to blow the chips out of the cut to be sure, like Steve said, keep from welding plastic together or starting fires or whatever. That's the reason I added a airline. I've got a Atom Stack Air Assist connected up to my CNC using the Carbide 3D little Air Assist neck for that. So I can run a downcut bit as long as I've got the Air Assist connected.
Craig's asking, when can you buy some more protective lenses for the diode laser, as my Etsy page is out of stock. Yeah, you're right. It's out of stock. I need to double check. I may have 1 or 2 kits on hand. Otherwise I need to run another batch of those. So, if you message me directly, I mean, you can either do it through Etsy or send me an email off of my YouTube page. I'll try to remember after the live to check to see if I have any unlisted kits on hand. Otherwise, I'll see if I can get some together in the next day or two. But send me that message to remind me. That way I can make sure to get back directly to you about that. So yeah. If I only have one, I don't want to put it out on Etsy and have someone else snag it from you.
Kevin says, any suggestions for things to do or check when my Reno 65 gets here? I mean, I haven't had a Reno, but I mean, with CO2s, you're going to want to make sure the alignment's correct. Make sure the gantry doesn't get cockeyed in route, because I have had some of the CO2s where the gantry will get like knocked one way or the other, and it'll be a little out of square. So I would probably check that, and then just maybe do an alignment test on the mirrors real quick, or just make sure that you're getting a real small dot size below the nozzle. And if you are, then you're probably good on the alignment, because I haven't had a problem with CO2 showing up out of alignment as much as I have the gantries getting twisted.
Yeah, I would definitely check the gantry on that one. It does come well packed in foam, but things can happen. Make sure it sits kind of square to the frame as best you can. I think if you push it towards the back, you'll have an easier time seeing if it's out of alignment. Definitely, you're going to want to check the mirrors once you have it up and running. But what I would do is there are panels on the top that have like some. I think they may have swapped them out for thumb screws. Mine had, basically hex head weird kind of screws. But I would take that back panel off so you can see the tube the first time, especially the first time you flood the system with the water. You're going to want to make sure all those air bubbles work out. Usually the first time you fill it up, some air bubbles sit in there. And if you fire it too soon and there's an air pocket in there, that can damage your tube really quickly. So that's probably the biggest thing I do. I mean, just give it a general once over, look for any concerning, dents or anything like that. I don't feel like you necessarily need to take this one apart and look at all the wiring per se, unless you are noticing an issue. But checking the gantry and then making sure that the tube is filled with water, and then your alignment are kind of the three things you got to check. After that, once you got it running, use the auto plunge little focus thing. But if it doesn't seem quite right, you might want to do what's called a ramp test to double check the focus on there, because you can manually focus that one as well as using that little plunger thing.
Cool. Tony LaFont says that he uses a manual CNC called a plunge router. And I did that before I got into lasers and CNCs, but I am not good without like guides with a router. I used a router to make the sign. Matter of fact, the sign on the front of my shop that says the Clack Shack, I made with a Ryobi router and just a straight shanked like 1/4 inch bit. But then I got into the lasers and CNCs, and so now I've got tools that can do a much better job than what I did on that sign. Somebody was asking, I didn't see who it was asking if CNCs are always that squeaky. I'm not sure what they mean by squeaky, unless it was because of the way my microphone is. But typically it doesn't squeak. You do hear a little bit of it does. It's just like if you're using a regular router. Anybody who's used a regular router knows when you have a spindle or a bit rotating at 10,000 RPMs and it comes in contact with wood, it can sing and make like a little singing noise. But the bit that I had in there a while ago, the Skinny Jenny, it doesn't make a whole lot of noise until it hits something really solid, like up against the edge of like where the deep ends of it are or whatever. But they're CNCs with spindles can be loud depending on the bit that you use. Matter of fact, I was going to go ahead and just cut that thing out. But if I put that 1/4 inch upcut extended reach bit in there, that one's going to be loud. That bit's going to make some noise, and it's not squeaking per se. It's that bit running through the material. It does generate noise. It's not like if you don't like noise and you don't like whining or a little bit of squeal, stay with lasers. Don't go with CNCs. But if you do like it and you do run CNCs, get yourself some of these right here. You can watch YouTube, listen to your videos, whatever, and have a good time with these on and protect your ears all at the same time. Because my iPhone tells me I spend way too much time in loud environments, but it doesn't know that I use these.
Yeah, I mean, there's you kind of build an ear for how the CNC router should sound. Because yes, it will make some noise, but there can also be kind of that bad. There's kind of the chirping noise that it'll make on certain materials and certain transitions from, surface grain to edge grain, things like that. But then you'll also hear when kind of it's not sounding right. So there is a lot of that it's kind of hard to teach it. You also have to experience it. Like when it makes this sound, it can mean chatter. When it makes this sound, it can mean, it's working too hard or whatnot, or maybe your spindle's too fast because that's you're getting too much kind of squealing, it can be burnishing and not cutting the wood and such. So there, but yeah, also the microphone will make things sound weird across the room. So not to say that squeakiness is always okay or always bad on a CNC router.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see, I mean, it's only, even through that whole job today, well, I guess that was today. Now that was that was right before the live. It's like 101 decibels. So it's not terrible when you're doing the finish passes and stuff, but though the more material you're pulling out of there with the bit, you can get it to be pretty loud. But it's worth it though. It is definitely worth it. I enjoy it.
Forget me not Woodcrafts. Have either of you used one of those reverse aligning laser inserts for lining up the CO2 mirrors? Do they work? I was actually just explaining that to someone today. I have American Photonics makes some really nice ones. And so it's basically just like a red dot laser pointer that you need to get the right size for your basically your focus lens tube. It mounts up in there in place of your focus lens, and then it hits the mirrors in reverse order. So you start at the basically mirror 3, and you adjust that one to where it's hitting properly on mirror 2, both near and far, then 2 to 1, and then you adjust your tube to hit the spot where the laser is hitting on mirror 1. And so it's an easier visual way because you can watch that laser dot move as you're making adjustments with the screws rather than make an adjustment, pulse the laser, see where it went, So it does make it easier. I feel after you get used to doing it the normal way, the reverse way is a little more time consuming, just for me anyway. But yeah, it is easier just because you have that kind of visual reference of what your adjustments are doing, and you can really kind of dial in and try to make sure that it doesn't move whatsoever. So you probably get a little more precise one with it, and the ease of use.
Yeah, I like the machines that have the red dot built into the tube.
It is nice
because those you don't have to worry about none of that because the red dot runs where the CO2 laser is. So therefore, you just align it to you basically put you a piece of tape over the mirror and align it to where that red dot moves over the middle of the mirror, and then pull it off and go to the next one. So that is, and if in a perfect world, I think they all should have red dots culminated with the CO2 beam so that you can do it that way. I mean, that is, to me, that should be standard equipment. But because like right now, I really, the only complaint I have about my OMTech Polar Plus since I got it back going is I still have a hard time framing with that thing because what are you doing over there, fella?
I'll leave myself a note that I won't forget.
So I still wish I had a red dot culminated in that machine. So, because it would be so much easier for me to frame stuff with that CO2 if it had a red dot when I frame. So that's going to be a big determining factor the next time. If the next time I pick out a CO2 machine.
Well, that's one of the advantages to getting a more standard cabinet style versus these kind of integrated smart laser ones. It gives you some flexibility to change things up. You could start out with a 24 by 17 CO2 that's a 60 watt. And as long as you have a cabinet style frame that has maybe a lot of them will have the end cap where the tube sits is actually a panel. You can put a longer tube in there as long as you also upgrade the power supply. So you go from a 60 watt to a 90 watt or 120 watt. Now you'd have a really long tube sticking out, and it's going to be weird.
It's going to need a box.
Yeah, you're going to need to build some sort of box to protect the tube and yourself from any random high voltage. But yeah, you can also just swap out for a regular 60 watt tube or a 60 watt tube with the red dot integrated into it as well. So there's also, you can get combiner sets that kind of go off that first mirror as well. So there are ways to aftermarket upgrade your cabinet style ones, but it's really hard in the kind of the desktop ones. There's usually not enough space for there, and sometimes the tubes are very specific. So
yeah, I saw the other day OMTech, they actually make one that you can put on there, which it basically just shines a like red dot onto the, it culminates it basically. But I don't know if it'll work with my Polar Plus, but I'm going to look into it now that I got that baby back going. And I don't know if maybe I had a problem before, or maybe there was an issue with that power supply before it went out. But man, that thing is doing a jam up job now since I've I had to replace the main power supply. They sent me like a whole box of parts, but I had to replace the main power supply and the high voltage output to the tube. I did find a little spot where the high voltage wire comes out of the box. The wire was turned real sharp, and it almost looked like maybe the electricity had started arcing from there back into the chassis. I can't say for sure. I took a picture of it and zoomed in. It looked like there might have been some scorch marks there, but I think that may have been what happened was that thing arced, and when it did, it backfed into the controller and fried it. So I was really careful with the one. I went back with it to make sure I didn't nick that silicone anywhere. And I may or may not have borrowed some silicone from the one I was taking out to make added insulation for the one I was putting in. But yeah, it's up and going and doing a really good job. So I'm very happy with that. And OMTech's support was not as bad as some of the people I've heard talk about it. So, I mean,
you can always,
and I didn't call my contact. I emailed support at OMTech Laser, whatever. So that's, unless they recognize my name, I got the same support everybody else would have, but it was still under warranty. So I got it fixed.
It's amazing what you can do with some tubing from the home center and just some silicone caulk. Really add some insulation to those things. Like I showed that on the Polar Light where I was having that issue, and it's just some bad insulation there. But yeah. left too long, it was either going to hurt me or hurt the machine. So
yeah, it worked out good. David Allen, I have been going, bro. I have been going, and I've been getting up early the past few days. So it ain't happened. Duke is saying, do either you know where I can find a belt for an Ashmer P3? Customer service hasn't been too helpful. They're generally okay. Like I said, there's going to be a little bit of a delay. I can't remember which belt that P3 uses.
Well, usually on the belt, it's going to be written on there. Usually, like the tooth count and the belt style, and most of them have some sort of spot where it locks in. So it's not like a continuous loop belt on those. So you should be able to find, if you find that belt that's broken, look for there's like a model number or a type of belt on there, and then you can search on there and usually find, the right dimension, and then get a length of it. You might have to get new crimps. They're pretty much just brass tubing crimped down on the wires and then replace it. But yeah, if they're not getting back to you, check that belt for, there should be some nomenclature on there for the specs. It's usually like a series of numbers, maybe some letters, because they have to do with the pitch, the number of teeth per inch, and sometimes the width of it.
Yeah, I never had to fool with any of the belts. No, that was not a Blue Moon. That was an Angry Orchard apple, red apple, to be exact. I like apples. Don't think he would add ice to that though. No, the ice actually isn't bad with the apple juice. But I would not know anything other than that. I don't think it'd be good with ice. Rail Images is saying, do you still have the Adam Stack Hurricane? If so, are you going to do any videos with it? It's not in my shop. It is in Klein's shop. He uses it because I can't keep all these machines in my shop and use them all the time. So any of the machines that I want to make sure that are still being tested and being used. And if I need to use them for a video, I can. I have friends who basically foster care them, so they can bring them back if I need to do a video with them. And Klein has that one because he needed to do some stuff with acrylics and so forth. So it's over at Klein's house. He has 5 of the machines, I think, in his basement shop that he uses.
Busy guy.
Yeah, he's got. I can't really recall. I got a sheet that I keep up with who's got what, but he's got a bunch of them. He also has the 6050 Genmitsu Pro Max or whatever, that big CNC. He has it over there. So
Miles mentions keep other wires away from the HV leads as possible. My use of the additional sleeve is a good fix. Yeah, normally in a normal cabinet style laser, I generally will try to lay the high voltage wire on top of the tube, and that generally has a pretty good distance from the frame. In this polar light, though, that tube sits on the gantry, moves with it, so they have a pretty close shield, a metal shield over it, to help keep it from dust and whatnot. But that kind of becomes a easy conductor for it to jump to, and so it was really hard to move it away, and that's where adding that extra insulation was kind of my only choice. But it's definitely something that you want to keep away from any other conductive areas as much as possible. You want to try to make sure you're using the right HV connectors whenever possible. And when making a splice, a join like that, you definitely want to do a very thorough job on your insulation.
Robert's also saying, Steve, and speaking of the unit, are you liking the OhmTech Polar Light? I've been thinking of getting one for acrylic and glass engraving or cutting.
Yeah, so it's still out here on the bench, and it works great. The thing I need to still look into it is the exhaust fan. They have that bank of fans along the back, which do work great, but over time, as we've seen on really any other laser, as it's extracting that smoke and debris, some of it's going to build up on there. So I got to take a closer look at what a deep clean on that looks like, and how difficult or easy that is, because that would be one of my concerns on the unit. The other thing being that I haven't looked into how feasible a air assist upgrade might be. The one on here seems to be working pretty well, but as I noticed with my Reno 45, upgrading that air assist had a big impact on the laser. But doing acrylic and glass, acrylic, you don't really necessarily want a lot of air. That can actually make a worse cut. So that wouldn't be a concern there. And glass there, again, you don't necessarily need a whole lot of air when doing that. So for those two, I wouldn't be too worried about the air assist function on it. So far, yeah, I'm liking it. Still working on projects. You'll see it in future videos for sure.
Brandy just sent me a message, and it has a link to a video. I was going to show you guys real quick. There's the barbecue thing the other day. Y'all, everybody's always asking, how do you get your name out there or whatever. These are the awards for a local barbecue competition that they had in our area. And you'll notice the stands, those stands right there are 1/4-inch plywood that I made the stands, put them together, and painted them. And then all of those awards were cut on the Shapeoko and engraved with the A70 Pro for that event. And so that's all the awards. And I don't guess they tagged me on that one, but yeah. But there's the awards that I did the other day. I think I did a short on them, or maybe I used them in a video. I actually did a video, but I did those on the A70. That is straight off of the laser. I did not backfill those with paint or anything like that. And that's one of the benefits, in my opinion, to using diodes over CO2s when you don't want to have to paint fill things. So yeah, but she sent me that. I guess she saw it. I hadn't seen any of the pictures, but I've been busy, so I hadn't been over there. But yeah, so those were on me because that was that barbecue joint competition was done by a nonprofit church related entity in our area, and so I ate the cost of the materials and my time to make them and all that. But those have a really big QR code on the back of it that you can scan. It takes you to my website. So that way, if somebody's like, "Ooh, who made this?" Everybody that participated in that thing, who are people who do barbecue, who need, cutting boards and big spoons and stuff like that, they all got basically one of my business cards. So, and it didn't cost the organization anything to have those either, even with the stands. So
just goes into the advertising column for your cost.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, like I said, and other than the material wasn't cheap. Like those boards were $85 for 8-foot, oak, 1x, 4-sided, sanded, all that good stuff. I mean, those were some select oak. It wasn't cheap, but it was the easiest way, quickest way for me to be able to turn those things out.
Yeah.
And like I said, I set them up. I did a 4 foot at a time, 4 foot of material at a time, and just knocked them out. I did a video on it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, got those done, and there's another. That's the second year I've made those for them. And the cool thing is I've already got the design. I just have to change the year. Like they're exactly the same. I just have to go from 2025 to 2026 next year. So, Sandra Parker says, "Have you ever tested the longer B140?" Yes, I have had a B1 30-watt as well as a 40-watt and a longer. What was that thing? The 10? What was it called? Oh,
the Nano?
No, the little open gantry machine. Oh, Ray 10, Ray 5. No, longer Ray 5, but it was a 10-watt.
Oh,
yeah, longer Ray 5. That's what it was called, but it was actually a 10-watt. I don't know why they called it a Ray 5. But yeah, longer makes really good machines. Their price usually isn't bad. You can catch them on sale a lot. The B1, the 30-watt is really good. It has automatic air assist, all that kind of stuff. The only complaint that I ever really had with the longers was when they first came out, they used like a 1/4-inch drill bit on their air assist cones, and it was just the hole was too big for the little pump that it came with. But after like the first or second wave of the machines was released, they went back and adjusted the size of the hole, and it worked much better. So the most recent one I did is 40-watt, and actually it's a good machine. They're actually pretty quick as far as how they process the file and move around in the work area. Some machines move slower than others in between, like engraves, but that longer is actually it's pretty quick on the white space. You've got one too, or
I've got the 20-watt longer B1. Yeah, that had that cone issue as well. I think I swapped it out because it was the same size as like the X Tool or something. Mm-hmm. So I just swapped out the air assist cone on it. It was good. Looks like you have a couple volunteers willing to be fosters for some specific lasers. Rich did volunteer to foster a UV, and Randall is definitely willing to foster care one of your machines. So
well, Randall, if you come to the meet and greet that I'm doing October the 24th, those of y'all, and I hate it, guys, I really do. And for the ones of you that can't drive to it or not able or whatever, I'm sorry. I'm having a shack clean out party October the 23rd, and I'm gonna be taking a whole bunch of stuff from this shop that's in my way that I just can't continue to house, and I'm gonna be giving it to you guys. So the event is on my Facebook page. It's on my website. As far as the meet and greet, it's going to be October 24th here in Clanton. And as of right now, there's going to be at least 2 CNCs, one of which is going to be a Genmitsu 3020 Pro Max. I think, ain't that what this thing's called? 32. No, the Ultra. 30.
Oh, yeah, the 3020 Pro Ultra.
It's a small machine, but like literally it's a small machine that can engrave aluminum. Like it's built like a tank. It just has a small work area. So if you wanted to do, small things with it, you didn't have a very big area to do your stuff, you could do it with it. And although it's not light, it is semi-portable. So you could get it down and put it up and that kind of thing if you needed to. I've got it. I've got another one that's not as nice, but could do some stuff as far as the rigidity of it. That's probably coming with me, and some other lasers. I've got other lasers that are going up there with me as well. There may even be a all right. So I don't like talking bad about machines, but if you're willing to take a We Create Pro 45-watt machine and deal with that thing with the cable, there may be one of those up there as well. That's in the box. Like I've used it, but it's sitting in the box right now because I gotta home that thing.
Look at you keeping the box for it.
Well, let's just say I kind of figured it wasn't going to be staying here when I got it, so it may be there. I've got other machines that I'm considering as well, but I do have a couple folks locally that are interested. So I'm gonna go through my stuff. I've got a few people I'm gonna reach out to that may want some of the machines that I have, and if whatever's left is going with me to that event. And if you show up, there's going to be a drawing. And the way it's going to work is if you don't want a CNC, well, then don't put in for the CNC drawing. But if you don't care if it's a CNC or a laser or whatever, you can put in for all of them. The only catch is, and me and Steve talked about this and figured it out, that if you win, like you can actually just like be the winner and then hold until the end of the drawings. In the event that you, for some reason, because I don't know how many people are going to be there, how lucky you guys are, but in the event that you win multiple things, like let's say one person is just on fire that day and like they get winner on 4 different things, you can pick which one you want, and then the other 3 go back in the pot for somebody else to win. That way we could spread the love a little bit. But since you know, if you win the first roll, then you get to pick from those that you got drawn on. So if you would rather have the CNC or the laser or whatever, you can pick which one you want, and then the other ones go back in the pot for somebody else to win. Because I would love for everybody to be able to leave there with something as far as an equipment. I will have some shirts. I got to get with my vendor and see if I can get some shirts made. So typically I'll have some medium, some large, extra large, and I'm probably going to try to get them to make me some 2X because I know a lot of you guys wear a 2X. If any of you wear anything bigger than a 2X, please send me an email. Let me know because I don't want to buy a bunch of like 3 and 4X shirts per se, but I want to try to get it to where everybody that shows up that comes to see me, I'm going to give you a shirt. That's what I'm hoping to do. I'm hoping if I don't run out, but I don't know how many people are going to be there, so that's going to be a guessing game.
I'll just say he must like y'all better than me because he's never given me a Clack Chat shirt.
I think I offered it to you, but you said you look like a kid in his daddy's.
Because you didn't have any of my size.
Kid shirt. Yeah, well, it's because you need like a 6X, you Bigfoot.
I don't. Just 2X, man.
But
you know, it's all that corn we eat in the Midwest.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna try to get some more shirts made between now and then. I need to create a reminder of that. Create a reminder to order shirts, please.
When should I remind you?
Tuesday.
What time Tuesday should I remind you?
10 o'clock.
Is that 10 o'clock in the morning or in the evening?
That's so helpful.
Okay, I'll remind you Tuesday at 10 a.m. If you'd like, I can tell you the time and reminders for the day when you dismiss your morning alarm. Would you like to enable this routine?
No.
No problem.
Anybody have any requests for me to give his Alexa some commands? I can go ahead and do that. We can set some other reminders for him too.
What's that noise? CNC's little fan kicked on over there. But yeah, it's I'm hoping that's what's gonna happen. And I may bring some because I got a box of like my brother-in-law showed up today and was looking at some of my stuff, and I had that little small gator that I made the other day. And he was looking at my bigger gator. He's like, "Man, this is cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got." And Brandy's like, "Yeah, he's got a little small one he did over there somewhere." And I showed him where my treasure chest is because it's kind of like kindergarten class here. We have a treasure chest, so if you show up at this Clack Shack, you get to go to the treasure chest. Well, he went over there and picked up a bunch of stuff and was like putting it in his pockets because I told him, I said, "Yeah, those are my like test projects that I put in a box and people can take them with them when they visit." And he went to loading his pockets up and taking stuff. So I don't have as many like little trinkets and stuff that I've made. I got wiped out pretty good today, but try to make a couple things too to auction off to some of the people that maybe don't watch the channel. Like I may try to do like another flag or something like that on the CNC and have like sell, not sell tickets, but give out tickets to everybody so that even the people that come for May or Cog Hill or whatever can win something. But I'm trying by doing the machines, you're going to have to register at least. We're going to close registration the night before the event. And pick up what I'm putting down here, guys. If they do not watch my videos and do not know to apply for the machines, when they show up the next day, it's the giveaway's closed. Only you guys that are watching us up to the event will even know that that's happening. And the reason is because the last time I did giveaways at a meet and greet, the people who won it didn't even know what a laser was. And I don't want that to happen again. No offense to other people's followers, but I want it to be one of you guys. So that's why we're closing it 24 hours prior to the event. But I will make sure you guys see all of the sign-up forms for the giveaway. And I'll make sure. Michelle, I'm going to at least give y'all 2 weeks prior to the event to be able to go ahead and sign up. But I'll be plastering it everywhere. There'll be shorts. You'll know. Just especially if you like monitor my page or watch the Sunday night lives, there'll be at least 2 Sunday night lives after registration is opened, I'm sure. So, because I want you guys to win it. I want it to be one of my followers, not, somebody else per se.
All right. More to come on that. Steve B is asking, do either of you have a video of the brackets connecting honeycomb legs with the frame of a laser? For example, the Atom Stack 20 diode. I've done some just specific ones like, honeycomb, like locking it in place on like the Reno. And I've done some where I put brackets on a spoil board. I don't always attach it directly to the laser. Because sometimes I'll swap out the honeycomb for a different jig or such. But I don't know that. Have you done any specifically mounting a honeycomb to the laser itself? I know you've done your alignment jigs.
Yeah, I do the jigs, and I have a kit that you could use a piece of like 1/2-inch MDF or something and make your spoil board and attach everything, and in essence make it to where the machine is connected to the honeycomb, which is, you know what I mean. But you would use the L brackets, and that would be my little universal jig kit that I use. It's just like the one that I use over here in which you can't see in there right now. But that's the kit that I use inside Enclosure Zilla right there, is the universal kit. It's basically a series of L brackets and stuff. And you could use the L brackets that I made to hold the machine, to hold the honeycomb and the machine. It's pretty adaptable, but yeah, it's basically just a series of little brackets that, with the right setup, you could put everything in there, and then you could use the laser once you got the laser attached to the 1/2-inch MDF. Once you had the laser fixed, then you could use the actual gantry and turn the blue laser on and line up your honeycomb using the laser itself to make sure that they're squared with each other, and then you could secure your honeycomb that way. So that's how I would go about doing it personally. But as far as anything specifically for that 20-watt Atom Stack, no. But the unit is it Universal? Yeah, I think I called it Universal Kit. It's a series of the little different files that you can use to put it together and make it work with a little bit of creativity. So we'll see how it goes. Michelle Morley says she's an hour away. She plans to be there. Well, guys, I hope it turns into a blowout. I really do. I am going to have like stickers and ink pens and all that, maybe some T-shirts. And like I said, I'm going to carry as many T-shirts as I can muster because I just think that's kind of how you give back. Yeah, I could, sell those, but you guys are helping me pay for those by watching this video and being involved with me and Steve. So to me, that's good enough. Good Lord bless me enough that I can afford to buy the T-shirts. And so until I can't, I'll provide you one. Because if I start missing insurance payments, y'all may have to start buying the shirts from me when you show up at the events. So,
Now they may be the scratchiest T-shirt you ever wore, but
these aren't terrible. I mean, these are the ones I wear. I don't know what the brand name is. There's no way I'm gonna be able to read that.
well, let's.
I mean, I could take it
No,
off.
we're good. We're good. I mean,
Sure.
I'd hate to have to kick him off the screen because he's going to do something weird. Oops.
DDIGZ. I have made my own T-shirts, but to be honest with you, the shack is not a really hospitable environment for making T-shirts, and I don't have room in the shop. The ladies that make my T-shirts and make my merch it's a small business that started in a lady's garage here in Chilton County. The company's name is This and That Vinyl, and it's a bunch of makers just like us that decided that I've been doing this in my garage, and then she moved into like a little rental space that she had, and I think she's moved into a separate rental space that's a little bit bigger now, and they make the shirts for me. It's one of the ladies I went to school with back in high school. So they're good people, and I'm just supporting another business. And like I said, they refer me to people when people want some laser stuff done. At one time, they actually did do lasering, like they made hat patches and stuff. But I think they outsourced that to one of their cousins or something. She has like a Glowforge or something maybe. But yeah, they technically compete with me, I guess, on some stuff, but I don't care. It's enough for all of us to go around. So Cody said he's $20 for the shirt giveaway. Appreciate you, Cody. Thank you, sir. Hey, I need to order some bits too, by the way. I may or may not have snapped a couple of 8-inch bits the other day being dumb. Somebody may have forgot to flip the button on the power for the VFD.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just like supporting Cody, don't you?
I tell you, man, I realized it about the time it touched the material, and I slammed that power button, the e-stop button, but it was too late. It just I'm like, God dang it.
So News Fans is asking, what would you guys recommend for dust collection system for the Fox Alien CNC? They do make a little dust shoe. It's got the magnetic separator on it, so you can change your bits. And it even has a screw-in bottom here, so you can get different sizes there.
Or replace that when you chew the teeth off.
Or replace it. So this isn't bad. You can hook it up to a regular shop vac, but I would put a cyclone separator. So like the little thing I got back there, you can get those. Even Harbor Freight has that. It just mounts on top of a 5-gallon pail, or you can get the official Oneida one. There's low profile ones. There's Home Depot has their brand of it. Get a separator, because that'll keep your shop vac at least from clogging up its filter and keeping that airflow, because that's the most important part. I would at minimum start here. From there, there's a lot of options as far as a clamp on 65 millimeter style. If you've got the trim router or that, these are nice because they also have inserts for the smaller spindles that come with them as well. So I would at minimum do that and see if that's not working for you, you can look at some of the aftermarket ones. But honestly, that's when I'm running it. If you watched my video on the easel stuff, I wasn't running it for the jobs, and shows you why you really want to run it, because it does start flinging chips all over. But I would start simple and work up from there. I mean, I think these are $30 to $40, give or take. You can buy them on Amazon if you want. If that doesn't work, then you can start looking at some alternatives. Clack's going to show us the Shapeoko versions.
Yeah, I broke mine though. I got to order another one. I got a little carried away with it and broke it. But yeah, this is the one that comes with Shapeoko, and never mind the clamp got broke. But it's the same type situation. I need to send them an email, get them to send me some more. But it's the same kind of setup. You got this one, which is like, I guess this is the YouTuber version, so that you can see the bit, and this part pops off, and then you have like the really deep dished one that goes with it, like right there, and then you have the not quite so deep dished one that goes right there. These work really well, and they actually do have inserts that go like in this spot here. So, and I think this is the Sweepy version 2.0. It's not the Sweepy Pro because the Sweepy Pro only fits the Spoko 5. But you do have these little inserts here also that you can take this. If you don't have this size hose, you can take this out and you can pop these in and accept smaller stuff. So I like these. These are cool. Like that, the Fox Alien one works too from what I've seen. I don't have it, but I have used this carbide version here. I've used it on the Genmitsu stuff. I've used it on Makita routers. I've used it on the Genmitsu routers. I've used it on the 65 millimeter spindles. It'll work on any of those. And it does a pretty good job. It's not as cheap as some of the other ones, but it works. It works pretty good. But this is I think it's a Sweepy 2.0. Is what this one's called. Let me see what it's running right now. So, and if you can catch them on sale, especially or some kind of coupon code, they're really, really nice to get. I need to order me another one because I broke this one. Sweepy 2.0. Yeah, it's $55 for all of this. So, but like I said, I broke the little latch. I over tightened it and pushed it, and I guess it got hot or warm or whatever. It expanded. It snapped. And I tried putting super glue on there to fix it, and then I learned that whatever this material is does not like super glue. It turns to putty if you get it super glue on it. So I could probably fix it, but I just haven't yet. Anyway, that one works too. It's a little more. How much is the one from Fox Alien? They didn't send me that one.
Well, it depends. If you get the one with all the inserts, it's as high as $60. But there are generics, and here's the thing: the Fox Alien, Genmitsu, they're fairly identical. There's some differences to them. This one has more interchangeable parts, but they both would fit on either one.
Yeah.
Biggest thing is to make sure that if you're doing the one that clamps onto the spindle or the router, you got to make sure that it has the right size for your application. Because there are some generics on there as cheap as like $13, $14, but they're like for smaller spindles, like the 52 millimeter spindles and such.
Yeah.
All right. Santa's laser engraving. Looking to have a way to index my honeycomb on my Monport 60 watt 20 by 28. Thinking of using screw and ball indents and drilling a hole in the honeycomb frame. Any issues? No, that's actually how my original laser was set up. It actually had the honeycomb. There were 4 holes, and they had machine screws that were tapped into basically the metal frame that the honeycomb or the slap bed sits on. And so as long as you can get that in place and drill some clean holes and maybe tap out or add a nut on the back side of that, that's a great way to hold it in place. It's going to be consistent. Otherwise, looking at making some brackets that you can attach to that frame and drop it in and out. On my Reno 45, I just 3D printed them. Yeah, they could break over time if you were really manhandling it. A 60 watt, you got that larger honeycomb frame, you might be more likely to bump them around, but definitely screwing into the frame and tapping those out for some machine screws is something that I've seen done before and should work.
Yeah, any kind of physical restraint for it should be fine. But it needs to be, it needs to be consistent. Radu says, I went to class meet and greet, and all I got was a T-shirt. I don't have any of these will be orange Black Shack shirts though, so you'll get picked out of the crowd. My daughter says it's easy to find me at the fair and stuff. Miles is asking, how about a Cyclone that you 3D print? Not worth the time versus a commercial version. I mean, it'd be cool, and I would think you could make one work. I don't know how cost effective it'd be.
Yeah, I mean, you can find the generics. I don't know, haven't looked recently, but I found some generic ones for like $20, $25. So yeah, it's I mean, yeah, you're probably going to have less filament into it, but it's going to take some time. So if you've got it and you got the time, sure, why not? You could 3D print it. I've seen a few out there, but it's one of those things where it's not hard to find them, and they weren't terribly expensive. So I just kind of went that route.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd never really used. I used, what was that thing that snapped on the top of a 5-gallon bucket? I used one of those one time, and it kept breaking. Like, I don't know what was wrong with it, but it kept breaking. But I've never used one of the cyclones, like the Dust Deputy or whatever that you've got over there.
The Dust Deputy is $40 at Amazon. The Dust Stopper Pro is like one of those lid type ones from Home Depot. Those are like $60, but I'm sure if I keep scrolling, I'm going to find a DeWalt has one for $30.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're not. I mean, I know Menards has like some random generic version as well, if you're in the Midwest. So
yeah. Uh-oh. Trash Killers Anonymous says, just look, Steve, get on the merch bandwagon, sir.
Yeah, I got to figure. I mean, I guess I'd have to figure it out. I do make most of my own ones with DTF transfers, and they've been holding up well. So it's just kind of hard to figure out what sizes and styles, and because I don't have a shop color like Clack has.
Well, it's got to keep with the brand, man.
And I've looked at some of the other options. They're expensive and hard to quality check those. So
Ryan said he should try to a cyclone print on his SVO 8 Max. That's a big printer he's been playing with. That would be a good one. You can print your own. Now you had to make sure you get a bucket.
Dave Grow is asking, have you checked out the Mullet Cyclone dust collector system? I did talk with them at Workbench Con. It does look interesting, but it's you got to kind of it pairs with your shop vac, and so it's kind of like having a shop vac next to a shop vac, which I guess isn't necessarily any different than my shop vac with a tower stack on it, but I've heard good things about it, but I mean, it's kind of a cyclone into a bin. So I don't know. To me, I'm not sure the price justifies the $300 for the whole setup versus just getting your cyclone in a pail. The other nice thing is those cyclones, I've put them, well, I could dig it out if you want, but I have a bigger bin that I used to have on my CNC when I was cutting out. I mean, I'd have my router going 8-10 hours on a weekend and 4 to 6 hours on a weekday night, just keeping up with those airplane stands. And so a 5-gallon pail fills up fast when cutting through that plywood. So I put one of those cyclones on a bigger, like HDPE bucket. The only problem there is then that would fill up, and now what do I do with all those chips? So the cyclones that you bolt onto one, it kind of gives you a little flexibility into what container you put them on top of.
Well, for my big CNC, you can see my big Shopsmith dust collector over there, and I love that thing. Like, it does a great job. And if you watch the video tomorrow when I release it, y'all saw me stop that machine a while ago. I haven't cleaned up after it in a little while, but that dust collection does a really good job. Now it's not cheap, but it also can work for all your other tools as well, because it has 3 inputs on it. So
this is what I'm talking about.
That's a big boy.
Yeah, it's about the same size as my 20 some gallon garbage can. Kind of was worried about the delivery guy, thinking I was doing a whole Breaking Bad thing when he brought it to me, but but yeah, it's having some flexibility in that. It just using a separator to be able to not clog up whatever your shop vac or dust collector is very beneficial. So,
Well, I take that back. I don't guess you can get a Shopsmith dust collection system. Apparently, apparently they have suspended operations. Well, that's unfortunate.
well, you got a relic now.
It's freaking good though. The dust collection's good. Like they should have stood into the dust collector. Now that multiple machine thing that they got, I wasn't really a fan of that. But the dust collector, awesome. Like I like it. So I don't guess anybody ain't getting one of them. Philip Hoyt says, did I hear you guys were going to CES in January? That's the plan. I sure hope I am, because I've done paid for a motel room. So if I don't make it, somebody's going to have fun in my motel room.
Woohoo!
Yeah, because it's not like you put down a deposit at that place. Like when you hit reserve room, it's paid in full. So my room's paid for.
Well, I think they had a few options, but the cheapest one was to pay ahead and pay in full. Yeah.
So
But,
my room is paid for. So I'm somebody's going in my place if I don't. And I've got approved to go. I got my tickets through CES are ready to go. I'll be attending as media, and I'll let Steve speak to his situation. But yeah, plan on being there.
Yeah. So both of us got approved as media to be there, which is kind of nice. We're not tied to anything. Yeah, I just need to check in with work and make sure of which days I can go. We're planning on trying to be there for more of it this year. It just unfortunately lines up right with that's the week before semester start in spring, that first week or second week of January. So it's not the best time to be away, but it's also not the worst time to be away. That would be fall, which is when the Next Level Laser Conference has been last year and will be next year.
Oh, is it going to be really? See, I'm
Yeah.
going to that one. I'm actually thinking now that I'm retired, I may just drive over to that one.
Yeah.
It's in Texas. It's not.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, as of right now, we are working on plans to attend CES. I will surely be enjoying getting away from Minnesota winter in January again.
Yeah. So yeah, plan on being there. As far as we know, I've actually created an event on my Facebook page. So as it gets closer, hopefully I can put a little bit more information on there. And as always, when we travel, if you live in the area or are going to be in the area or whatever the case may be, we'd love to hear from you. And if possible, because this is actually going to be a work trip for me, because this is my job now. I don't have another one. So we want to try to work in, maybe we can get together and like have supper with some of you guys or whatever, if you're going to be in the area, or at least visit with you at the event, whatever the case may be. So if you're going to be in the area, then go check out the event that I've created on my Facebook page, and we'll go from there. But yeah, it's going to be cool, I think. But that's right now, that's the only one that I've got hard penciled onto my schedule. I do want to try to go to another one because I usually go to Workbench Con, but that's kind of been ex-nayed since they're not going to be having it this year. So I'm going to probably choose another one somewhere else to go to. It's probably not going to be one that I'm going to fly to, though. I may try to drive to the one in Texas, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes. That would be a pretty cool little road trip for me.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I would probably drive to that one as well. Unless that was just an ultimate time crunch.
Yeah.
Because it's just basically I hop on 35, which is 45 minutes from here, and head south. And it's always nice when you can go to one of those and not be limited by your carry-on and everything else. So
yeah, because I got to looking the other day, and I think the fuel and everything to drive to the one in Texas, the fuel would be just minimal compared to a plane ticket, and then the headache and the hassle and then when you get there, you got to pay for Ubers and all that. So with it being in Texas, I think I'd rather just drive it. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yep. Kevin's asking, I have a Makita router on my CNC. Do you know where I can get an 1/8" collet? Snapped a brand new mini Jenny when the sleeve slipped. Oof. Yeah. I don't like using those sleeves. I don't have to. They're unfortunately out of stock, but IDC has them. I just put that in the chat. There was another place that I picked up one for mine, and it was a number of years ago, and I can't remember, and it's not coming up right away for me, but you do definitely want to find the actual collet and not the adapter sleeves if at all possible. So, but maybe an email to IDC and they let them know if they can let you know if they're going to get some in sooner or later. But they're good to work with. They partner up with Cody and other people on bits. So there might be some options on Amazon, but a lot of that comes up with those sleeves that I try to stay away from as well.
Yeah, push comes to shove, you could always get yourself one of the dedicated ER11 routers if you can't find the collets.
It looks like there might be some on Amazon, but I'd have to double check compared to the model number. Some of those are a little weird in those trim routers. But
wait a minute, hang on, let me check something. Accessories. I don't know if it's exactly the same. Might be worth looking into if you can't find them somewhere else. But Shapeoko actually sells the drop-ins for their trim router. I don't know if it's the same though.
Probably not, but you never know.
But yeah,
there's usually minor differences.
Yeah. So, but yeah, but they're they had them on sale here a while back. Their ER11 router is $60. So, depending on how much you're going to pay for the the collet or the adapters or whatever, might want to look at it. They one time they had them marked down to 50, I think it was, but they're down to $60 right now for the ER11. This has got an ER11 collet on it, so you could use any ER11 stuff that you have. 1/8 inch. It comes with an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch. So there you go. But yeah.
Anyway, Jer's asking, will we be testing MillMage out? I run Carbide Create Basic, just wondering if it would work better for creating. I'd like to. I just haven't had time to work with it. And I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where you're used to one software. It's sometimes hard and frustrating to switch over when you're busy with work.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's my biggest problem because I've got Carveco and Easel access just like you do. And when I'm doing something, it's hard for me to stop doing it in a software that I know I can do it in 5 minutes and go over to a software that's going to take me an hour. I plan to, now that I've got a little more time, I plan to learn those softwares and be able to demonstrate those, but it's going to be a minute. But I don't know that I want to fool with MillMage. I may let it age for a couple of years and let them work the bugs out before I start investing too much time in it. I'm going to be honest with you. Nothing against it. I love Lightburn, but there's going to be lots of work needed to get that up to where it can compete with Easel or Carveco or Vectric. Like there's going to be a lot of work needs to be put in that. And I done got to where I'm loving these 3D release and stuff. And as far as I know, there is zero support right now for the 3D stuff. So I'm probably going to hold off.
Yeah,
I love it for lasers, but I'm just not ready. I'm not ready to plunge into that yet.
Yeah, if you're just wanting to get started in some 2D work and you're coming from lasers with Lightburn, it might be a feasible step. But yeah, I worry about some of the same things where it maybe gets limiting beyond the basic stuff. And yeah, that's kind of what Ryan's saying too as well. So But this is just version 1, and Lightburn and V-Carve and all those were pretty ugly on their version 1s too. So
yeah, I said I just think I'm not knocking it. I just think it needs to age and mature a little bit before I start putting a whole lot of time in learning it. Because what I would hate to do is put a lot of time in learning it and then them decide, oh, we need to overhaul it, and now I got to relearn it. Like I said, I wouldn't mind playing around with it, but I've already got 2 softwares that I need to be playing around with that I haven't, because I've been busy, and it takes a while to learn software, and it's kind of that old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's like I don't know what Millmage is going to bring to the table for me right now, as far as what I want my CNC to do. If I were brand new and I wanted to try to stay on as low a budget as I could, and I had to learn the software, anyway, then maybe that would be a direction I would go in. But where I sit currently and the knowledge that I have with Vectric, you're gonna have to work really hard to get me off of Vectric. So.
Yeah. Gray Viking says the group has agreed my dedicated color should be purple, which interestingly enough is a complementary color to Clack Orange.
I mean, you do wear that purple hat a lot.
This is the first time I've worn it this year, though.
Well, I haven't really paid that close attention. I can't argue with you on that one, and maybe it's not. I mean, I do know you've worn it before.
And I'll be honest, it's you got to be tough to wear these colors. It's not an easy ride.
Oh,
as well evidenced as this morning. But
yeah, Jack says I would much rather start with a capable program versus having to learn a new program later for more functionality. And like I said, everyone's situation is different, but in my current situation, I feel that way also. I feel like if I was to try to use Millmage, I'm giving up. I'm taking steps backwards at this point, because I already have Vectric. I've already bought it for one, and I don't, so, and I've used Easel. Easel was like the training wheels of CNC software, in my opinion. Like, it's easy to pick up, it's easy to learn. Like, there's prompts and reminders built into it that helps you learn the processes. And it's fairly capable, but you will come to a point to where you're like, I need more tools than what this offers. Unless they've added some tools since I used it last. But, I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable that I'm not going to destroy this machine now, but I need more tools. And that's when I went looking for Vectric, or looking for another software, and I found Vectric. Let's put it that way. I downloaded the free version or whatever when they were offering it, and like within a week, I'm like, okay, I'm getting this.
D Diggs, the Steelers did win, but as poorly as the Vikings played, they also almost won. So, it's the life of a Vikings fan. Disappointment. You get excited one week, disappointed the next. It's been a long time since the 90s when we had just a lot of blowouts. So.
Yeah. I'm not sure how far back this comment was. 8:47. So it was only a couple minutes ago. So
it's probably about the shirts, and so yeah. We'll see. I did last time I had an order with another business for some apparel that I did for them. I ordered a gang sheet of DTF, and I threw a bunch of these logos in different sizes on there to fill it out. So So yeah, we it could be some options. I'll have to see if maybe I can. What it would be ideal is to be able to offer them kind of made to order. If I can find a local source that I can kind of pick up some onesie twosie shirts, and then people can kind of say, "Hey, I need this size, and or maybe this size and this color." If I could offer a few, but we'll see. We'll see.
Hey, you can say my ladies up here want to do it.
Well, see, the problem is I had a similar setup as you. Local guy who ran his shirt business forever and was excited about me getting lasers and such, and then he decided to up and retire on me, sold the business, and the new people just I don't have the same relationship with them, and quite frankly, for the few things we've used them for the other club, they've kind of let us down. So been a little tricky. So,
well, I just dropped a link in the chat for everybody on the event that's coming up. If y'all hadn't already looked at it, that's going to take you to my website, and then from there you can click and go to the Facebook page and all that. That is where, as things progress, which I'll probably know. Actually, I may put that just on a different link and share it with you guys, and share it in the Laser Engraver community page because that link right there, everybody's getting that link too. So, but I'll let you guys know where to look for the links to sign up for everything as we move forward.
Mark's asking, have you ever tried using a composite nailer for work holding on the CNC? Got one a week ago and loving it so far. No danger to the bits. You do have to drill pilot holes for the hardwood, but works great. I haven't personally, but I have seen others use it, and it does look like a good option to have. As you say, you can go right through those with the CNC bit, and it's probably easier to go through that than the hardwood you're cutting through some of the time. So, it's another tool. That's one of the things with CNC routers is that no one clamping method or hold down method works for every operation because, the double-sided tape works, but sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes clamps get in the way. Sometimes you need another fixture to help find zero exactly. What are we? Oh, in the corner there.
Yeah, give me a second. Watch this goofiness. He's barking. Yep.
He's hungry.
That's what happens. He sits outside the door and starts barking. He eats cat food. He won't eat dog food. He only eats cat food. He's got issues.
Yeah, Jerry, I think even though there's a bit of rivalry, most of the fan bases between the two teams are pretty good and have a good time together. So it's fun going to both stadiums.
Chris said he tried to get a shirt, but they refused to send it to Australia. I can't help that, Chris. Those ladies, I don't know. I mean, hey, I'm sure you can. You have my permission. You can, if you want to make you a shirt, make you a shirt.
Well, maybe we need to. Maybe I need to get some made. You get some made, and we'll send a one-time care package to Australia.
I had to check on that. I might have to mortgage my house.
No, I'm not saying the shirts are going to fit them. They might be this big.
It's on Team Move shirts. Yeah. Mercy.
Yeah, vacuum table. I had that on my first machine. It was kind of a homemade vacuum table, but it worked pretty well. And it's been hard not having that on recent machines, but I haven't been willing to spend the money or the time to buy one or build my own right now. The vacuum tables are really nice.
Y'all can't see Fluffy sitting there staring at him. She's just waiting on him. He's over there eating the cat food. You can see her head. She's right there under the corner of the table. But yeah, she comes down and guards like him when he's over there eating. But he will not eat dog food. Like I said, we got a dog food feeder, just like the cats have up there at the back deck. He will not.
You tried steak? Maybe he'd eat steak.
Well, I don't know. He's weird, man. Like he catches little lizards. He knows where every lizard in my yard lives. Like he makes a route around the yard, and when he finds them, he'll grab them with his mouth, and then he'll sit down and put them between his paws. And if they stay still, he'll just sit there and like just basically hold them. But if they try to run away, he takes his paw and catches them, and then takes his mouth, picks them back up, puts them between his paw. He won't kill them. Now their tails fall off sometimes, but he just sits there and sits with them. Like it's just weird. Like I mean, I could get it if he was like eating them or something, but he just plays with them, and then he lets them go, and then he goes back and visits them the next day. Now about half of them are missing their tails now, but
Well, they'll grow back.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to talk to the ladies. They maybe the issue is not so much shipping; they just can't print the shirt backwards.
Yeah, so you can read it right. You got to do it upside down.
Yeah. Scott, I don't know. That'll make it to the October meet and greet. I got a lot of things pulling me in different ways. I'm seeing if I can have enough time right now. I've been trying to see if I have enough time to fly down to Arizona and back. Well, not necessarily drive down to Arizona back, but it'll feel like I'm flying about it as I'm trying to rush down there and back to see my dad and maybe drop something off with Cody and check out his new robot. It's very cool seeing his videos of that thing working.
Yeah, I'd be scared to use it.
Well, if you would have come to the training day after CES last year.
I wouldn't get anywhere around you, Patient Zero. I'm lucky I made it out of Vegas without having that crud.
I think you got me sick.
I don't think I did.
You spiked something. Probably a little while I'm sleeping.
No, I think it was. I think you caught that on the flight to Vegas. That's what I think happened. Jerry Richmond says, "What would you guys hope to accomplish at CES? See all the new cool stuff and make some contacts with some of these companies that do things with tools that we are interested in. That's the big thing, and a little networking with some of the other content creators. Oh, that's always. What are you doing? Why are you poking me? This dog likes to poke you, but we also like to hang out with some of the other creators. Last time we were over there, we got to hang out with quite a few, so that's always cool. And it's a vacation that I can count off as a business expense. So there we are.
Yeah, I'm gonna accomplish not getting sick, and hopefully not see snow. Everything beyond that's going to be a bonus.
Yeah. Oh, this dog is high maintenance, guys.
But really, I mean, for me, it's like the things that Clark said. But I get to double dip a little bit because my daytime job being director of technology and CIO for the community college. I do get to talk to a few companies about things I can use in my day job and maybe technologies and tools we want to implement there. But yeah, a lot of it is just networking with companies, networking with people, getting to see new technologies in person. So
this dog is just crazy. Y'all remember this dog showed up during a Sunday Night Live, right? And now he just like comes in here and like slams into me and tries to shove me out of my chair. Radu, I think didn't we do one? One of us did one, or both of us have done.
I think
one?
you touched on it in a longer video, and I was actually just commenting today that I need to do that, and so maybe I'll do that. I need to do that maybe with the OhmTech Polar Light because it does need a slight
video named that.
It does need a slight adjustment to be crisp. So I don't have it out there yet, but it's on my list.
Yeah, I have a video, I think, where I went over it. I don't remember which one it was, though. It was something I did with the OhmTech, I think, OhmTech Polar, I think.
It was a recent.
Yeah, I'm wanting to say it was a
recent one that you did, but
powder tech. Yeah, I'm thinking it's the OhmTech Polar. I think it was the Tumblr video with the OhmTech Polar is I think the one that I mentioned it in, and I touched on it briefly. But yeah, there's ways to adjust it.
So speaking of CES,
yes, these are one of the toys that I would like to add to my shop.
Yeah, we there were a couple. I think Creality had one there. I know others had one. We didn't get to see everything at CES last year, and that's part of why this year we're looking to go on our own, not tied to any company, B, spend more time there so that we're not so rushed, and also not tied to any one company. So we can spend more time at more places without being rushed. And that's one of the things we want to do there is check them out and try to find things that maybe we want to incorporate into our businesses and or our channels. So, but you've done a little more looking at anything you're specifically kind of leaning towards?
Well, since I've gotten into this crystal stuff, if my crystals ever get here that I ordered, I've been wanting to do some 3D, like some pictures. It's something I want to add to my portfolio here locally, is being able to take pictures and put them like 3D images and put them inside these little things. And I've already created me a 3D print file for the base and the whole 9 yards. Now this white, you can kind of see through it with the lights in it. I didn't realize that. But I mean, that could be considered cool and decorative.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've got the 3D print file for these built, and I've got the Omni to where I can do these 3D, inside the crystal things. So what I'm wanting to do is to get to where I could do a 3D scan of a person's face, a pet, whatever the case may be, whatever they want, and be able to put it inside one of these crystals. Maybe even like, some local things or whatever, local, like a peach, whatever, just play around with it. In order to do that, I need a 3D scanner. So quit barking at the cats. They are not messing with you. So I've been looking at doing that. And plus I'm getting more and more to where I enjoy doing the 3D release with the CNC as well. And so I'm wanting to be able to capture a STL and maybe do like a bust, like partial, of course, because you're limited by the depth of your Z-axis. Like do a fake. What are you doing? Can't you see we're live over here? If you're gonna work here, you're gonna have to calm down. What? Oh, this dog.
I was trying to tell you Timmy fell in the well.
No, he's trying to tell me these cats are staring at me funny. That's what he's trying to tell me. He said over here, he said, let me let this dog out. We're going to shut up, baby. Come on. What are you doing? Come on.
But yeah, that's one of the things we hope to see there more of. And we do hope to also do more coverage there. Hopefully through our media affiliation, we'll have better connectivity. And so there is also the chance that we could go live from CES, whether it's a specific time or kind of randomly as we're maybe at some really cool booths. So we're hoping to do more overall this year, looking at some of those things, and definitely 3D scanners are something that has an interest for both of us.
Yeah, well, even the 3D printers. I mean, I've got the Bamboo. I know there's lots of other ones out there, some new startup companies and stuff. And that's where a lot of startup companies will go to CES to like show off some new creations. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to work my way into is to go see what kind of stuff's coming out. And some of you guys, you may or may not know Milton over at EBP Man Tech Reviews. His channel name kind of gets me sometimes. But he goes up there a lot, and I've been talking to him about some of the stuff that he does and some of the folks that he's met and does those events. And especially now that I am, like I said, self-employed, and this is how I make my living, so to speak. I want to get into it on more of a professional level, and go up there and meet some folks. Still going by my same standards as always. With some of these companies I don't work with because they're a little too demanding and they don't want to abide by my rules, but a lot of companies do, and I really enjoy the technologies and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a couple of CNC companies there as well. Maybe some companies we're familiar with, maybe some companies that we're not, and so it's going to be a lot of moving parts coming up for me in 2026 as I move into doing this full time. And currently, as far as I know, my oldest daughter has said that she wants to go with me. So that's going to be some time that me and her can spend together as well. And she's going to help me with doing everything that we got to do over there, and get to see some sights because she's never been on an airplane, so it's going to be a new experience for her as well.
Cool stuff. Well, right.
Steve ain't gonna do nothing with the mini splits. He talked to Mr. Cool last year we were there, and still no air conditioner.
Oh. No, we'll see. But anyway, we're rolling over 2 hours now. So, any last
5 minutes?
Any last questions or comments? Now's the time to get them in. Otherwise,
yeah, I'm going to get off here where I can go get ready for work tomorrow. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have to go to work tomorrow. That's right.
Yeah.
That may have been intentional.
So, what you got cooking for this next week then?
Well, obviously, I'm working on the flag. It's what did I say? It was 20. I think it's 25 or 26 inches wide. The 3D flag. It is a larger. Basically, it is. It is this file, but on a much grander scale. Because this one here is about, I think it's about 12 inches or so. About 13 and a half or so. That one over there is like 25. This one's a little thin because somebody didn't set their settings exactly like they needed to be. That one's much thicker. That one is made with wood that Steve brought down here. I thought it was like some birch or something, aspen or so. I don't know what I thought it was, but he says it's cherry. So we're gonna have to figure that out. What it is. It could be cherry because it was doing a little bit of splintering, and cherry tends to splinter sometimes. So we'll work on that in the morning, finishing that video up. I've got most of it done. I've been having to do a phase, make some video, start the next phase, make some video. So I'm gonna finish that tomorrow and hopefully have something out that is not a machine review. And then from there, I got to finish these stove covers that I've got stacked up over here and get them delivered, because that right there is this week's insurance money. So I've got to get those delivered to my folks over at Clayton Homes, and still working on some stuff, the logistics for the meet and greet coming up October the 24th, and got a lot of picking the kid up at band practice and stuff, because I got handed that when I retired, or when I quit my PD job, let's put it that way. So I got handed some hey, since you're not working, you can pick the kid up from a band. So I got to do that now. I figure it's only fair though. She's done it all these years. I can do it now.
Sure.
And it gives me a chance to go to the town or stop by the Dollar General or whatever on my way back. So. Because there's only so much sitting around the house doing stuff in the shop. I don't want my shop to get to where it's not fun to me anymore. So I got to be careful with that too, because I know you can. There is such a thing as the new wearing off. So hopefully it won't, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I'll be working on. I usually try to not overlap review, but I may have to do that to get a little caught up. So I've got the Atom Stack Atlier, or however you say that. It's their little 12-watt Galvo portable laser. Been doing a lot of testing on that this weekend, and hopefully we'll get that finished up and pulled together. And speaking of 3D printers, I have been working with the FlashForge 85X. There's a little 2-color thing it printed. But I've been doing a lot more than this. This is just kind of like the first trial thing they put on their card. So I'm going to be trying to finish that up as well with some impressions of that, as far as, how does it compare to some of the other kind of intro level 3D printers. So I may end up going those back to back, but I do have some other projects planned, but I also still have some other equipment to get caught up on as well. But those are going to be my focus for this week as we roll into October. It'll be October next Sunday.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll be free and clear on paper even.
Yeah, you will. It'll be official.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you there, Ryan. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's been it's just been a long time coming as far as that retirement check goes. But I'm hoping I can make a run at it. If I can't, then we'll go from there. But I think I'm not one who needs a lot of extravagant stuff, so I think I'll be okay. Between my physical products and my customers that I have, and then the little bit of stuff I can scrape in through the channel, hopefully I will be okay. Because like I said, I make plenty of stove covers, cutting boards, and I'm going to add some products to my lineup and try to do a little bit more business to business stuff in my community. Since I've retired, I've actually stepped up my marketing to other businesses in the area as well, offered a little more service than I have in the past. Because in the past, I've actually had to kind of cut back on the jobs because it was getting to the point to where I couldn't keep up with the jobs, the content, and the day job. So now I can kind of let the physical products come up a little bit more than what I have in the past. So we'll see how it goes. I'll let you guys know in about 6 months, because I figure in 6 months I'll know, generally how it's going to work out, hopefully. So
all right, so like March, April.
Yeah, maybe by maybe by sometime around March we'll have an idea of whether or not this is going to be a successful experiment or not. So
Cool. All right.
But that's it, guys. Y'all have a great and wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you again next week.
Is this outro going to surprise me too?
I don't know.